Brand new on the channel today, the Speedybee HD Bnf.
We wanted to let you know about a brand new service that we have on our website. It's dronecamps.com. Look for FPV Service Center. You can purchase any plan and we will set your drone up for $149. You can box everything up in one box, ship it to us, we will set it up, flight test it, and usually send it back to you within a couple days. So if you need help with your drone, please do check out dronecamps.com.
Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm Justin Davis with another review. Today we're going to check out the brand new Speedybee Master5 HD 5-inch freestyle or medium range cruiser. It has DJI O3 on board in the back right there, camera up front, and this one comes all set up. You don't have to build this one. The other one that we reviewed on the channel was, well, it was a frame kit. You had to build it yourself. But now Speedybee has been making flight controllers for a while that work with the Speedybee app on your phone, so you can hook this one up. You can make changes on the fly at the field. You don't have to have your computer with you or Betaflight hooked up to it, which is kind of nice. So you can change PIDs, switches, all kinds of cool stuff on the app. So let's go ahead and fire it up. Let's do a flight test. After that, we'll come back and we'll check out the Master HD Bnf on the bench. I'll give you my honest opinion on this one. It's looking pretty good, and it looks like an alternative to something like the Mark5 or the Nazgul Evoke series. Let's give it a shot.
Okay guys, let's check this quad out on the bench. This is the box you get. It does say on the side of it that it is the Master5 DC model. It has TBS Nano RX, the VTX is the DJI O3 Air Unit, and the camera is the DJI O3 Air Unit. This quad can run off a 6S 1300 or 1400 battery. One of the coolest things about this particular Bnf that sets it apart from something like Geprc or iFlight Nazgul series is the fact that they have wireless firmware updates on here, as well as a Bluetooth connection. So scan this QR code right here and you will download the Speedybee app. You can pick the flight controller that you have in the app and you can connect to it without using a USB cable, make changes in the field on the fly. And also in the box you get a quick start manual, which is all in color, some 5-inch props as well from Gemfan. This is the MCK 51466 V2 props. And you also get some extra wire covers here, which is kind of nice if you break those. An extra bumper for the bottom up front, it's TPU and the hardware in the pack, and a GoPro mount, which I thought was great, and the hardware with that. Get an extra strap, and you get an extra harness for the HD setup, as well as some extra Allen wrenches. And this side plate broke on mine. It wouldn't be a review without showing you what actually broke. So this side plate right here broke on this particular spot here. And the LEDs are embedded inside the side plate right here. This little piece of kind of black tape over top of that. This wire plugs into the flight controller and it will light up your LEDs. And I'm not totally sure if these are changeable inside Betaflight yet, but I believe they are. And this is the Speedybee Master5 HD Bnf Quad. You're looking at it now. This is what it looks like out of the box. You can put the strap through the center. There's plenty of space here to put it under the top plate, which is nice. But they kind of threw me off when I first opened this quad up and tried to pair it up with my goggles. I noticed that I had no camera. The camera was all black, and I thought, oh my God, they sent me a blacked out camera. And then when I looked, I realized that this was a cover over top of the O3, and I haven't seen any company do this yet. I thought that that was super cool that they included an O3 cover, because many of you guys really want to take care of your O3 cameras, and now you can with this little just kind of add-on inside the box. That was nice that they did that. So all the accessories and everything on this quad are really cool. I like the kind of contrast between like the black frame and the yellow TPU bumpers. The side plate there, they have a recessed little plate in the middle here, a little space for the beeper and the buzzer to sit into. They have a full-size buzzer on here, which I also think is kind of great. And this frame, by the way, it is a 5-inch frame. It is a wheelbase of 222 millimeters. The wide X frame is 225 millimeters, so you have a squash X configuration, which allows you to film with the DJI O3 without having props in the view. So I know a lot of you guys don't want props in the view, so it's nice that they did that. And all of the TPU accessories together, the 3D printed parts, if you add them all on, it's about 133 grams, by the way, adding it on. So, or 143 grams. Now, the view state, again, like you're going to have props in view if you buy the original like the wide X, not the squashed X. So that's something to think about there. There are props in view on the Master 5, whereas the Master 5 HD has a kind of a squashed X here, and we don't have props in view. So I know if you're a stickler about that, you want to avoid that. If you look on the side of this frame, if you haven't seen this frame before, you're in for a treat because it's really nicely constructed. We have aircraft aluminum across that front plate right there. It says Speedybee on this arm right here, and they kind of avoided putting a standoff here, which I kind of talked about. It kind of put it into a kind of bird beak type of thing, and I was afraid that we would have like kind of a situation where we would have a crumple zone right here, and that we would break this bottom plate about here since there's no standoff if you hit the ground really hard head on. And so far I haven't had that problem, but they do have a 2-stage separation on the top plate. So this is a separate plate, and the front of this top plate starts about right here, and you have about 6 bolts to release this top plate to get to the stack, which makes it kind of nice and easy to get to. And I mentioned before that they used Emax 2206 Eco 2 motors, which are a crowd favorite for FPV racers and freestylers alike, mainly because, well, they're pretty cheap to replace. They run nice and they look nice. They have a nice polish on the outside of the bell, thick copper coils on the inside. They have a standard hollow core shaft through the middle of this motor, and on the bottom they have kind of 4 bolts with kind of a 2-stage setup here. They have 2 through the TPU motor mount, that bottom bumper protector there, and then they have 2 directly on the frame. Now, if you look on the bottom of this beast, you see they have an extra piece of 3M bumper on the bottom to protect it when you're landing. Just kind of keeps your carbon nice. It also gives you an option to be able to mount a battery down here. So you could do a bottom mount battery, or you could do a top mount. So you can, that's just not a sticky tab. it's just a protector bumper right there. So it will actually protect your stack and the buzzer here, as well as give you a little bit of space in between this O3 heatsink right here. And that sticks out the bottom of the frame, which is going to be great for summertime. A lot of the frames out there don't have any type of heatsink built into them outside, say like I believe the Geprc 7 or the Chimera 7 had one. Also have extra dampening in here, and this is kind of like almost like a silicone type of material, as well as built-in circular LEDs which light up blue when you plug the quad in. So that's kind of a nice feature as well. In the very back we have a TBS Crossfire antenna tray right next to our entire GPS and Immortal T assembly. The GPS tray is empty right now, and maybe in the future they'll come out with a version that has a GPS built into it, but I will tell you that this flight controller does have SDL and SCA spots on here for adding GPS. And again, this is the Speedybee V3 F7 stack, and I believe that one's around $119, so it's not a cheap stack by any means. It also supports up to 6S and has around 50 amp ESCs. All the solder joints and everything in here looks super shiny and nice. And I think the coolest thing about this flight controller, guys, if you don't know, is that when you turn this on, it emits a Bluetooth signal, and Speedybee has been doing Bluetooth flight controller access and firmware updates from an app for years now. That's kind of how they started out, making a portable option for beta flight out in the field. If you want to make changes on the fly, you don't have your USB cable, you can do this through the air from your phone, make firmware updates, change switches, PIDs, all kinds of beta flight settings right inside the app. And that's just super cool. And further down the frame toward the back is where we have our tray, our assembly back here, as well as our DJI O3. It doesn't appear to have any protection here, but you do see this piece of plastic right here sticking out. That is where my side plate broke off, and it broke because I was undoing the two bolts that go in right here. There are two M2 bolts that go through here, and you can see that part broke off the front right here, as well as the back piece just kind of sheared off. And I don't know that this plastic is just a little bit brittle. It might be, it almost looks 3D printed to me. You can kind of see like it has like grooves in it. It doesn't appear to be maybe a final, say, ABS type of material on the final one. This may have been a prototype piece and just broke clean off, but you can see that the LEDs are embedded into it, and they have a piece of black tape over top of it, as well as this coming off the end, which is our power coming to the flight controller. So I just unplugged it, took it off, but that was kind of one drawback about this frame that I saw.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and give some kind of final thoughts and opinions on the Masters HD Bnf. I was happy when this came in the door because I feel like we need more competition for Geprc and iFlight. They've been releasing some bangers lately, and I know there's some fans of this frame out there. You might be one of those guys that says like, well, I love this Masters HD frame. I love the quality of it. I love all the accessories that it get with it, but I don't necessarily want to build it myself and then have to set up switches, Betaflight, and all that stuff. It's much easier nowadays, guys, but there's some guys out there who still don't want to do that, and that's what Speedybee's hoping to help you with. And the incorporation of the app, being able to kind of make changes on the fly without having to have a USB cable hooked up to it. That's super nice for people with Android or iPhones. You do have built-in Bluetooth on this flight controller from Speedybee. So Speedybee was one of the first to come to the FPV game with flight controllers and Bluetooth beta flight. So it's kind of nice to see that it's now native inside the flight controller, so you can make changes at the field. Now, as far as performance goes, the rates they sent me on here were a little bit slow, so I did increase them just a little bit, but I feel like it's not quite freestyle type of rates on here, so you can dial those up if you want to make it turn, flip, and roll faster. For me, it was ultra smooth, butter smooth out over the field, flying low. I felt like it had nice control and nice altitude control with the throttle as well. And then when I wanted to boost up that super tall tree out there, I was able to do that quite easily with the Eco 2 motors. I'm also happy to see that they didn't use their own kind of Speedybee branded motors. They used some Emax Eco 2 motors, which is, you know, an FPV crowd favorite because they perform well and they're cheap to replace. So that's kind of another positive about this frame. And another positive might be that you can get all the parts you need to replace the arms, the side panels, the plates, everything on here can be replaced from Speedybee. So I'll put the links down below, guys. I think this one's one to go for if you're looking for something with quality 3K carbon fiber, a long truck body, top bed, and a decent performer, and some pretty amazing FPV setup on here with DJI O3. It's super legit. But I appreciate you guys watching my reviews. I'm Justin Davis. I will see you guys on the next one. Take care.